I'm seeing more and more articles and I'm seeing more and more stories come out about how AAA gaming is in trouble. AAA gaming, this whole gaming industry bubble is about to burst. And I agree with that to an extent. I don't think the whole gaming scene is gonna burst. I think it's just gonna mostly be like AAA studios that try and pump out bullshit, and with the logic they're gonna buy it anyway. And then when it doesn't get brought, they start rioting, flipping tables, going, why didn't they buy it? Because we didn't want to play that shit. That's why we didn't buy it. A lot of people forget that games are entertainment, not necessity. Like, even though it's immoral, you could drive the price of infinite insulin up infinitely because some people have to buy insulin, right? Again, not justifying this shit. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying the reality of the situation. There's a large group of people where if they don't get insulin, they will quite literally die, dead in the grave, 6 feet under, pass away. Versus video games, bro, if you start charging up the ass and out the wazoo for your video game, niggas won't buy it. Because, like, yeah, there are some people who are addicted to video games and whatnot. Yeah, there are some people who are video game enthusiasts. But if you start charging out the ass for everything, remember, at the end of the day, this shit is entertainment, not a necessity. Your pocket, when especially with this crazy ass president we got that's trying to introduce all these crazy tariffs and stuff like that. Like, bro, nigga talking about we gonna implement a 100% tariff if need be. You know how much that is? That means if something costs $5, you're gonna have to pay $10 for it. And just in case you're not understanding how much that is, because that's small numbers, anything, these games that are coming from overseas cost $70. You know how much that means you would pay for it if it was 100% tariff? $140. Then on top of that, all the microtransactions. So you usually spend $500 in microtransactions. Now you gotta spend a band just to get the same thing as before. Then they might just say coin inflation because we're not making enough money. So again, a lot of these developers are charging up your ass and around the corner, and people ain't gonna be able to afford all that. They're not. But let's read. Oh, was this the survey that I read the other day? Now that I think about it. Either way, I still want to read through this article and talk about it. 33%. I remember why I saved this. I remember another reason why I saved this. So we're gonna read through this and we're gonna glaze through the second article because I have it saved specifically to talk about this. 33% of AAA developers responded to a survey saying that they are actively working on a live service game. Despite that response rate, only 13% of developers were interested in developing such a game, and 41% said they were not interested in working on a live service title. If you expand the results to include non-AAA developers, only 16% are actively working on a live service game. This indicates that the big push for live service titles comes from the AAA industry. Smaller studios show no interest in chasing the trend. And this is why either last year or year 2023. And this is why in 2023, one of the most sold games across the entire industry was fucking Lethal Company, an indie game made by a solo dev, basically a one nigga in his basement development team. Given the large size of AAA budgets, this makes sense. Live service games allow for easy monetization, making it easier to break even or make a profit. No, because making a profit, all right. I understand what they're trying to say with this statement. They just use the wrong terminology, which could give somebody the wrong idea. The difference between a single player game and a live service game is when it comes to live service games, you have revenue, and when you're making a single player game where you're just putting it out one and done, maybe a couple updates to make sure the game is running well, you have profit. Now the difference between revenue and profit is when you drop a live service game, while that game is out, you still have a lot of expenses that you need to pay for. So for example, servers, server maintenance, you have to pay a team of developers to update and patch stuff, make sure stuff isn't broken and everything is balanced. Even if it's PvE, you have to make sure the player's ability to fight the things in their environment is balanced and stuff like that. You still have to add story updates, all that kinds of crazy stuff. There's a lot more costs that go into a live service game that you have to pay for versus in developing a single player game. Once you play those costs and release the game, however much money it makes, it's only thumbs up from there on the money. Because remember, with a live service game, if it costs $100 million for you to do that in the first season, and the second season it may not cost $100 million, it may only cost $50 million. But remember, you need to make enough for that $50 million to be profitable, to make sense and be profitable enough for you to spend that $50 million on the next season and the season after that. So if it takes $50 million to keep this game up and running and in a good state, that means every season that this game is out, you have to make enough money to justify running it for another season. So if the game needs 50 million, that means every season you got to make 80 million. Simple. You got to make 80 million every season before you go to the next season. And if it takes you too long to go to the next season, fans are going to get tired of playing the same old game, and they're just going to revert back to their habits and go back to whatever other game they wanted to play or whatever they were playing. Again, remember, gaming is a hobby. If it comes down to it and niggas got to cut costs and they budget, you think they're going to pick a necessity or a video game? Now, there may be some niggas out there where you think, nah, niggas is real life stupid. They're going to pick the necessity. But it's like, look, bro, you can raise the price. It's not ethical. It is not ethical. But in theory, you can infinitely raise the price on some shit like insulin. You can't infinitely raise the price on video games. Niggas will stop buying. Niggas ain't going to stop buying insulin. Niggas will stop buying your shitty AAA game. Sony has been leading the charge in developing live service games, but has recently canceled 2 in development titles. As long as those developers weren't fired, because nobody wants to work on a game that's going to go nowhere and just cost them their job at the end of development. Like, imagine putting all this work into something, making this something your baby for the next 2 months, or even worse, you're putting your all into something so that you don't get fired, hoping you're able to get to the next job or the next project before this shit falls under, like you can tell it inevitably will, and then it falls under and you're out of a job and you're struggling for money and cash because you spent the last 2-3 years working on a bullshit ass game that was never gonna go nowhere. As long as they didn't shut down the studios and they just relocated people to studios and better projects that weren't going to instantly flop, that's a W. The Game Developers Convention survey came just a week after Sony canceled 2 live service games formerly games formerly in development. Ben Studio and Blueprint Games, known for Days Gone and Demon's Souls remake, respectively, were working on 2 live service games for the PlayStation brand. One of them was reportedly part of the God of War franchise. That could work. Something live service related could work as a mode inside of the next God of War game, but as a standalone, fuck no. A spokesperson for Sony said the games were canceled following a recent review. Yeah, you know what that review was? How are we gonna get back our money from getting scammed by Bungie? Bungie finessed us. Bungie finagled us. Bungie, they tapped our pockets, felt them, and said, we feel all that money in there, we want some. How we gonna get our money back from Bungie? That was a review. The review was, damn, we ain't got a lot of money to be spending frivolously because we lost money on Concord and we lost way more money than we should have on Bungie. So everything from now on, y'all ain't got the liberty of making games that you think will be cool, making bangers. For the next 5 years, Sony has to make only games that they think will be bangers because they can't afford to not do that. So the company will continue developing online live service experiences and single player games side by side. A few years ago, the company hoped to launch 10 live service games by 2026. Thank God they cut that shit out, bro. Because the idea was probably throw shit at a wall until something sticks, but it's like, bro, what happens if you throw 10 pieces of shit at a wall and all 10 pieces fall off? What do you do then? Because if each of these games costs 100 million, that means 100 million times 10 will be a billion, right? Yeah. So if each of these games costs 100 million, and realistically they be costing 200 million, 300 million, and then like I said earlier, costs over time building up, because you gotta pay to keep them servers up too, and pay to keep maintain the game, not just servers, but pay to maintain the game. So it's like, what if you throw 10 pieces of dookie at the wall and they all just slip and slide down the wall and nothing sticks? Now you spent $1 billion dropping duds. You just blew $1 billion dropping 10 duds. Keep that shit in the vault. Of course, and a lot of people blame Concord, but it's really Bungie. This shit is really a Bungie tax. Was part of that push, and it didn't even last a month. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Sony and the PlayStation brand change course. What do I keep saying? Just because your game can be a live service game doesn't mean it should. And let me tell you why Sony and all these other companies pulling out is a great thing. It's an amazing game. 2 years ago, or early last year, there was a report that came out that said 95% of studios are working on or aiming to release a live service game. And you know what I'm aiming to do? Drink some water before I further this conversation. Okay, so again, back to what I was talking about. A little while ago, a report came out saying that 95% of the studios they surveyed were either working on or aiming to release a live service game. And in that survey, they surveyed 537 game studios. Live ops development teams want faster content release. And I remember when I seen this report, I don't think I was doing this whole streaming format when I did it, but I remember when I was doing this when I was looking at it, and I was looking at this type of gaming news just on my only, the first thing I said when I saw this is, yeah, hell no. All of y'all are making live service games, but we don't want live service games. The reason why people play games, like I said, most people play games socially. Think of it as when you go into a 420 party, there's mostly social smokers in there. But if you go in those people's house, they don't got no rolling paper, bong, they don't got a spliff that they roll on their own. Niggas don't smoke by their lonely, which is not to shame nobody for smoking with or without people. I'm just saying, it's the same thing when it comes to these live service games. These people aren't gaming enthusiasts. They're chilling with their friends enthusiasts, and if the way that they chill with their friends is over, I don't know, is over a movie or over a video game, guess what? They're going to do it. And most people play the game socially to hang out with their bros. And even if you miss time hanging with your bros, like let's say you and your bros got distant so y'all can't hop on a game at the same times or whatever anymore, you're still going to play the game that you're wildly familiar with, aka something like a Fortnite or a Roblox. Meaning people have so many hours on these other live service games. Just because you drop a live service game, that doesn't mean people are going to play it. When you drop a live service game, you have to realize that in order to get people on your live service game, you have to get them off of another live service game. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to do that. And this article I don't really want to read. I just wanted to talk about that. Because like all of these studios was making live service games like just a year or two ago, and now a lot of them have scaled back and said, nah, we need to cut that shit out. That shit ain't gonna work. I'm glad, because my thing about live service games is I've never been specifically against live service games. My thing has always been, half you niggas can't make live service games. It's like For example, let's say rappers. You know how like a lot of people say that it's a lot of rappers, but all you niggas can't rap. All you niggas can't make rap music. Some of you niggas need to take Biggie Smalls' advice and realize that UPS is hiring. Same thing with live service games. It's not that we hate live service games. It's that you're not making live service games that are good enough to pull me off the live service games I'm already on. Again, when you make a live service game, you have to fight harder to compete with people's attention, and it is harder to make money. This article I more so wanted to pull up to show what I'm talking about. Like, even though, like, if this was directly Pharrell doing it, he's more of like a gamer. I just wanted to show gaming is becoming more and more part of the gaming culture. People love talking about games. People love watching other people play games. People love learning about games and stuff like that. Like, why do you think I do what I do on this page? Because, oh, I just seen I could chase a bag by doing it? No, if I wanted to chase a bag, I will make videos where I go in popular parts of the city like Times Square. My name is who am I here with? And just ask them a bunch of weird sexual questions. Gaming is getting so much more entrenched into like mainstream culture, to where this lady, Chappelle Rowan, I've never heard about, but there's this article where like I've seen several gaming publications make an article about how this lady, I'm guessing she's like a popular singer or something, I don't fucking know. Let me see if she got any songs I recognize. YouTube. And if the audio starts sounding weird, then y'all know why. Yeah, look, she has a million followers on YouTube, so I probably heard one of her songs before. You can say that we are nothing, but you know the truth. Never heard that song a day in my life. We're gonna put them on the playlist. I'm gonna check out her top 4 biggest hits and see if I recognize any of these songs. I'm gonna play like 5 seconds of the song.
6, 7, 8.
Nope, I don't recognize this song at all.
It's like 199 degrees.
I mean, they sound fucking fire, but never heard of shorty.
Visions of me in LA. He's gonna scream, God, what have you done? You're a pink pony.
Never heard of shorty a day in my life, but she got viewership, so I guess she's a extremely popular singer or something like that in like the pop space. But like, gaming is becoming increasingly popular and becoming increasingly more and more part of the like general culture. Like, I remember it was one time where somebody was realizing that they couldn't stop their kids from playing video games, so they wanted to learn ways to like protect their kids on the video games and like use parental controls and all that shit. And I had to really like sit there and collect some videos and send it to them to teach them. I never got to send it to them because they just fucking stopped, but you still get what I'm saying. Like, it's to the point to where people on that. This one I want to like mostly glance over because I think it's more about the headline. And this is going to be like a headline ass article where I don't have to read it. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is not banned in any country, including Saudi Arabia, according to the director, Daniel. In-game relationships are player's choice, and unskippable cutscenes were also confirmed false. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will have DLCs and free updates post-launch, blah, blah, blah. So, apparently, like, Kingdom Come Deliverance, or whatever the fuck, has, like, romance options, and some of them can be homosexual. Now, the reason why I wanted to mention this is because I know them DEI go broke niggas. Oh my god, they're sitting there beating their meats hard at this, like, oh yeah, ban them woke ass games. And now that we have this nigga Donald Trump in office literally repealing DEI, because like just in case y'all don't know, that's a thing he literally did. He literally repealed DEI laws that fight for equity in the job markets. And because of AI and the fact that the job market in general is just so fucking cooked, it was already hard enough to find a job. Now on top of that, he's repealing laws that make it possible for niggas other than white women and the white women that they love to sexualize to get a job. Rough for her, bro. If you got a job, you better do everything in your motherfucking power to keep that. Cause these weirdos like this that have always been in charge of the world, but before they were hiding it. Now they're not. Niggas better stay woke, bro. And I'm not talking about the weirdo definition of stay woke. I'm talking about the real definition of stay woke. If you niggas ain't awake, you better wake the fuck up. Get on your Q's and P's. These niggas is coming for black people and they is not playing. If you're anything that other than a white male or the white women they love to sexualize, they're on your ass, boy. They on your ass. They coming to destroy all your rights. And look, it's not just an American thing. Because rumors about this game getting banned were from Saudi Arabia. And whether this game does or doesn't get banned in Saudi Arabia really doesn't fucking matter, because that's not the point of this conversation. The point of this conversation is to really say, like, watch out, bruh. We got niggas like Snoop Dogg that we never thought would shucking and jiving for massa. Niggas we thought would never shuck and jive for massa. Them niggas was at Trump's inauguration party shucking and jiving. 100 lashes for all them niggas, number one. Number two is like, bruh, you better stay the fuck woke. Because remember, if a nigga drops a big enough bag, there's a lot of people that would stray away from their morals to collect that bag. And a lot of them motherfuckers in power want to pay them and have the money to pay them motherfuckers to shuck and jive. I was just singing a song for massa real quick to get me some money, that's all. Okay, bro. The success of Black Myth Wukong reportedly led to a surge in an investment in games like the stylish action RPG Phantom Blade Zero. So if you're not understanding what that headline is yapping about, basically the Chinese gaming market before was pretty much based on knockoffs and ripoffs of other previously existing games, because the Chinese gaming market, I bet, because the China anyway, like I was saying before, it was mostly knockoffs of other games and ripoffs and shit like that, for the simple fact that because those games couldn't naturally regularly be in those regions, it would be those games would be banned and stuff like that. So a lot of those Chinese gaming companies were making knockoffs of those games so that people in those markets could actually, you know, play the game. Even if they couldn't play the actual version of the game, they could play a neutered and stripped down version. It was either a bunch of knockoffs or a bunch of as close as they can get to porn game without getting banned. Because those Gooner games, like, yes, you and me make fun of Gooner games and shit like that, but let's never forget, Gooner games wouldn't keep getting made if there wasn't somebody paying for these damn games to stay up by way of buying a fuck ton of microchips. Phantom Blade Zero and another thing I want to mention before I get into this article is that Wukong, especially for like a Chinese game, made such a significant amount of money. It showed a lot of those developers over there, hey, look, I know it's easy to get some PNGs and make the ass cheeks move, make the titties big as hell, and make them bounce all over the stream so that people can all over the screen while they invest frivolous amounts of money in microtransactions. But it's like, yo, there's room in the market for games like this too. There's room in the market for other types of games too. And that's what Black Myth Wukong showed them. Now, how many of these studios will give a fuck? We'll see. Phantom Blade Zero is an upcoming PlayStation and PC exclusive, so PlayStation exclusive action RPG that looks like a stylish mix of Sekiro and Devil May Cry. And one thing I always want y'all to keep in mind when it comes to a situation like that like this is that it's very stylish to drink a liquid that is a stylish mix of hydrogen, and oxygen. Go get you some water. Invest in your health. Especially with this crazy ass president we got pulling out the World Health Organization. Go drink some water and do some push-ups, gang. It's gonna be real hard to go to the hospital. Phantom Blade Zero is an upcoming PlayStation and PC exclusive. Combat is lightning fast, blah blah blah. The new footage shows that protagonist Soul using the twin snake swords. Okay, blah blah blah. According to a Zitter thread posted by game consultant Daniel, Phantom Blade Zero received funding thanks to Black Myth Wukong's success. Y'all linked the tweet. No, they did not. I'll let this play out while I'm reading. According to two of his sources who worked on game development at S-Game, the studio behind the title, the tremendous success of Wukong in China in particular, signed to many and signaled to many. Wait, hold on. Let me mute tab and unmute this. The tremendous success of Wukong in China in particular signaled to many investors that AAA gaming is the new golden egg. Okay, I don't like that statement that it's the new golden egg for the simple fact that if we're talking about, because remember, these companies and large corporations, they run off of profit, they run off of how much money these games can make. If we're talking about how much money these games can make, if we're talking about investing in games that are going to give you damn near infinite money over time, I'm not gonna lie, you'd be a fucking idiot to invest in a game like this, because Gooner games will always make infinitely more money, because the power of good gameplay is nowhere near as strong as the power of niggas being horny. It will never be the same, bruh. So it is, I don't think golden egg is right to say here. I think it's better to say that AAA gaming is profitable to invest in. Now, golden egg, the thing I don't like about that is whenever something becomes a golden egg, that means that there's people over there in the corner beating it with a stick until it's dead. And the moment it dies, they let the river dry up and they walk somewhere else to drain the water. And unless the water comes back in the river, they don't give a fuck. So all the local animals that used to use that river to drink water, fuck them. So, and in this case, the animals that use that river to drink water would be like indie developers and shit like that. I don't like that, man. I don't like that. I really don't like that. Because like showing them that it's profitable, yes. Positioning it as it's the golden egg, get in now while you can. Maybe for the next 1 or 2 years that'll be the situation, but long term that definitely will not be the situation. Got a substantial amount of extra investments and funding thanks to the success of Wukong. Black Myth Wukong sold very well, selling over 20 million copies as of October 2024, so the figure now is probably much higher. According to Daniel, even before the actual release of Wukong, S-Game got new funding thanks to all the hype metrics surrounding Wukong. So basically, people are saying like, hey, even though this isn't Wukong and Wukong already released, this is something in the same vein as Wukong, and Wukong was already successful. Even if it's not successful on the same level, let's throw some money in it and see what happens. Apparently, the studio even had to turn down investors after Wukong release, as so many came rushing to join this new wave of AAA Chinese development hype. It may sound odd for a studio to refuse money. No, it don't. Not all money is good money, but it's unlikely there were no strings attached in these offers. Yeah, cause now it may sound weird. It may sound like they're nerfing themselves by limiting their funding, but one, not all money is good money. Two, you have to realize that once somebody puts a certain amount of financial investment into something, they're going to be expecting a return. Not everybody putting money into your game understands what that return should or shouldn't be. Meaning, they may put in $1 million expecting to get back $2 million when they should really expect 1.25. They should expect 1,200,000 to come back. But instead, they say like I said earlier, why I don't like this golden egg statement that they put up here. They're saying like, oh, it's the new golden egg. You gotta get in while you can before it blows up and it gets hot and everybody is in on it and they're buying in on it and stuff like that. Like, no. There's profit, there's money to be made, but it's not infinite. You can't whip the horse forever. So I think that's probably mostly what it was. Like they said, it was probably all types of weird stipulations and shit that niggas wanted to add because they think that this shit is an infinite money generating golden egg, when really it's not infinite money generating. It's profitable, meaning you can make some money, but it's more a case of if you're passionate about developing games or you're passionate about gaming and you want to throw some money to help make this game get the funding that it needs to come out properly, and sure, go ahead and do that. China has typically been known for mobile games over the years. In the past, the market and our technology weren't mature enough, so we simply weren't able to make console games. What did I say earlier? A lot of those fucking games that they make that are Gooner games are mobile games that are primarily meant to be played on phones, and they just throw people a bone and let them play it on Steam, on their computer, on their PlayStation, on their Xbox, because they're just gooning addicts and you want to make sure they can goon as much as they can, because the more they goon, the more money they throw at you. Also, the same thing for the knockoffs. The more places they can play the knockoffs, the more that they can that they want to invest money in your knockoff and not the next nigga's knockoff. We've wanted to make these kinds of games from the beginning, as Vice President Michael Chang. That's another fact. They haven't been able to make those games because, again, investors see the amount of profit that niggas was making from knockoff games and other types of single player games. Then they looked at the profit from the Gooner games and said, make the Gooner game. It's exciting to see games get support in regions outside of Europe, North America, and Japan, and it will be interesting to see how many new great games we get to see in the future. It will be very, very, very interesting. You know what else I find interesting? The fact that a doctor real life had to warn us about how TikTok is finna give niggas withdrawal symptoms if the app banned. In fact, quite a few are wary of another ban, as the platform is used by over 1 billion active users. TikTok has helped everyday people like Charlie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, and Keith Lee turn into $1 million moguls. It's provided a place for rising blah blah blah. What the fuck did the doctor say? Experts explain how TikTok ban could have users feeling irritable. Dr. Anam Limbenki, Stanford psychiatrist, told the New York Post that if SCOTUS gets rid of TikTok in the US, users should expect withdrawal-like symptoms. The universal symptoms of withdrawal from any addictive substance are extreme anxiety, irritability, insomnia, depressions, and cravings. And people who are addicted to TikTok, if they stop using it abruptly, may experience any or all of these symptoms, he said. And the reason why I think it's important to bring this up is because as a person who's a content creator who actually knows how to make content, I may not have 1 million, billion, trillion views, but I do have a set of skills for making content and making content that's entertaining and that resonates, right? Most of you niggas don't. Most of you niggas don't have that. Most of you niggas, y'all just get away with making bullshit content and y'all get views for content that would not survive on any other platform. Because I noticed that often TikTokers take their bullshit TikTok content to YouTube. Like, even if TikTok is their biggest platform, because that's where they blew up, right? They take their content to YouTube and the numbers aren't hitting nowhere near the same. They take their content to Twitter, Blue Sky, all these other platforms, their numbers ain't hitting the same. Why is that? Because a lot of them people who make content for TikTok, that's it. They make content for TikTok. And TikTok content only works on TikTok. So like, and I'm not one of those people that's on the, oh, go get a job type beat. But the thing about TikTok is that people will accept less because, People will accept less and have lower standards for the content that they accept on TikTok because it's very niche driven. TikTok is really designed and designated around serving you content specific to the niche you like. Meaning, if you're always on TikTok, hearing and seeing content that is closely related to things you care about, you're more likely to scroll and find more of that stuff that talks about your obsession. Now, not only do you have an obsession to whatever type of content you want to see, you have an obsession to seeing that content on TikTok specifically because it's very short form, bite-sized, highly easily digestible content. If you are having withdrawal symptoms for not being able to use TikTok, not gonna lie, gang, think you need to delete TikTok on your phone while it's still unre-downloadable from the App Store, because you're cooked, gang. Dr. Victoria Dunkley, child psychiatrist, also weighed in on how the lack of dopamine from less input can make former TikTokers feel exhausted. Another thing, I seen a tweet earlier today or yesterday that was talking about how there was a teacher or something like that, and she was saying that she was really concerned because the kids in her class were complaining that they wouldn't be able to find new music if TikTok disappeared. That's not a red flag for y'all? That's not a red flag for y'all. Niggas don't know how they'll find music without TikTok. How do you think niggas was finding music in the social media age before TikTok? On YouTube, on fucking World Star, on MySpace, all the platforms like that. You know why the World Star's YouTube page is popular? Because people who didn't know where to look to find new music went to World Star. They subscribed to World Star, and whenever World Star dropped a music video for something, they'll go there and they'll like and subscribe, and they'll keep getting videos from World Star in their algorithm, and they'll check it out. And whenever new music from their favorite artist drop, or new music from a new artist drop that was on World Star, niggas used to go check. Not the website, I'm talking about the YouTube channel mostly. Niggas will go on World Star and check for it. I'm not saying specifically you gotta use World Star, but now more than ever, there's like tons of pages that do the same thing. It's like, bro, you can't do 2 seconds of research? Like, are you allergic to going on Spotify and going in a random playlist and hitting shuffle? Like, you can't go on Rap Caviar? Like, TikTok is really a stimulation addiction. So they're not. Niggas is still pinging me, bro. TikTok is really a stimulation addiction. Yeah, people don't realize it, but people's favorite part of TikTok isn't actually watching TikToks. Is doing this. That's people's favorite part of TikTok. Scrolling and tapping. People get from scrolling. They may feel listless, like they don't know what to do with themselves, and they could physically feel tired if they're crashing out from that lack of stimulation input, said Dunkley. However, Dunkley noted that after 2 weeks, withdrawal symptoms should reside as dopamine receptors in the brain resensitize. Basically saying if you niggas go cold turkey from TikTok for 2 weeks, you'll be alright. All the things you could do on your spare time. All the, like, TikTok, again, I'm not saying this right, not justifying it, I'm just stating a fact. You could infinitely raise the price on insulin because niggas need that shit to survive, so they'll do whatever the fuck they gotta do to get that damn insulin. You can't infinitely raise the price or the value in the stock of something like TikTok, because after a week, it'll be a bummer for that first week of picking up your phone and going, oh shit, I can't use TikTok because it's banned. But after that, shoulder shrug. Nobody's gonna give a fuck. You'll be alright. You will be alright. That being said, if y'all are in the stream and you want to continue watching, all you have to do is hit reload when I type reload in the chat and watch the stream continue.